Welcome, everyone, to another game. Taking a break from Star Trek, we are doing the original Portal. This game was one that I played when it originally came out, and we're going to do it with director commentary on.
Welcome to
Game name here.
Hopefully you have already had a chance to enjoy the offbeat perspective and new game mechanic of Portal. To listen to a commentary node, put your crosshair over the floating commentary symbol and press your use key. To stop a commentary node, put your crosshair over the rotating node and press the use key again. Some commentary nodes may take control of the game in order to show something to you. In these cases, simply press your use key again to stop the commentary. Please let me know what you think after you've had a chance to play, as we think we are just at the beginning of taking advantage of this type of gameplay. I can be reached at gaben@valvesoftware.com. Thanks, and have fun.
Gabe Newell, the legend himself. I loved it back in the day when he started this director commentary stuff. It was so unique, nobody else was doing it. Stuck in our little room here. Little radio.
Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center. We hope your brief detention in the relaxation vault has been a pleasant one. Your specimen has been processed, and we are now ready to begin the test proper. Before we start, however, keep in mind that although fun and learning are the primary goals of all Enrichment Center activities, serious injuries may occur. For your own safety and the safety of others, please refrain from Stand back. The portal will open in 3, 2, 1.
I'm going to try and activate these nodes when Glados isn't talking and when I also don't have anything to say.
One of the things we learned from Narbacular Drop, our student project that became Portal, was that players often thought portals took them into other spaces, or even other dimensions. To help fight that notion, we start players in a visually unique room with memorable objects, so that when they walk through a portal for the first time, they have a clear point of reference which communicates the idea that they're still in the same basic location. For instance, the radio, which is playing an instrumental version of Still Alive, helps as well by providing some audio continuity. It's absolutely critical that players quickly wrap their heads around what a portal is. We noticed early playtesters grasped the concept much more quickly when they caught a glimpse of themselves through a portal. So we deliberately positioned this first portal to ensure that players will invariably see themselves.
We put the player character in an orange jumpsuit to reinforce the fact that she's a test subject. Visually, the warmer colors helped her pop out against the colder tones of her environment. Some playtesters were wondering why she could fall so far without getting hurt the way she would have if she were in Half-Life 2. In response, we added a mechanized heel spring to her lower legs. Afterwards, there was no longer any question about why she could survive such long falls.
Just add a spring.
These frosted glass observation rooms make the player feel as if they're being watched at all times, while keeping the identity of these watchers a mystery. The rooms serve a practical purpose as well, since we often use them as convenient and logical light sources for the test chambers.
I really wouldn't consider that frosted. That's almost like a semi-polarized effect there.
Portal is effectively an extended player training exercise. We spend a huge portion of the game introducing a series of gameplay
Please
tools,
proceed into
then
the
layering
chamber
those
lock
tools into
after
increasingly
completing each
difficult puzzles.
test.
This
First,
layering starts
however,
here,
note the
where we train the
incandescent
button
particle
lock
field
technique
across
before
the
introducing
exit.
more
This
complicated
Aperture
concept of
Science
portals.
material emancipation grill will vaporize any unauthorized equipment that passes through it. For instance, the Aperture Science weighted storage cube.
I tried turning off commentary there by using the use key. That's how it's supposed to work, but it didn't. So, sorry for the overlap in audio.
Please place the weighted storage cube on the 1500 megawatt Aperture Science heavy-duty super colliding super button.
We wanted players to feel safe while standing in a portal, so we never kill them or destroy objects within a portal that's closing. Instead, we either push or teleport objects out of the portal as it closes.
Please move quickly to the chamber lock, as the effects of prolonged exposure to the button are not part of this test.
We very deliberately introduce and train each gameplay concept in Portal, so that once players reach this spot, we're confident that they know what a portal is and roughly how it works. Early versions of the game let players stumble through the beginning, without always understanding what was going on, which really compromised teaching new concepts. The puzzle you just finished was designed so that stumbling around will almost always lead to a dead end. Completing the puzzle requires walking through a minimum of 5 portals in a specific order. This kind of gating, in which a solid understanding of key gameplay concept is required for success, helped standardize the learning curve of the game tremendously.
The amount of psychological consideration that's required when building a video game is really staggering.
You're doing very well. Please be advised that a noticeable taste of blood is not part of any test protocol, but is an unintended side effect of the Aperture Science Material Emancipation Grip, which may, in semi-rare cases, emancipate dental fillings, crowns, tooth enamel, and teeth.
In early versions of this map, playtesters would charge down the stairs without noticing what was creating the portals. We introduced a mandatory pause in the action, what we call a gate, to help ensure that players stop and notice the portal gun making the recoil.
Very good.
A particle effect
You are
and a
now
loud
in
noise
possession
help
of
draw
the
attention.
Aperture Science handheld portal device. With it, you can create your own portals. These intradimensional gates have proven to be completely safe. The device, however, has not. Do not touch the operational end of the device. Do not look directly at the operational end of the device. Do not submerge the device in liquid, even partially. Most importantly, under no circumstances should you...
This room was designed to make
Please
players
proceed to
understand that
chamber lock.
entrance and exit portals
Mind the
aren't
gap.
tied to the color of the portal. Playtesters often assume that orange portals were exit only, so we created this puzzle to force players to enter an orange portal.
When rendering the player's view through a portal, we must render a separate image using a
Well
virtual camera.
done.
which
Remember,
inside
the
opposite
Aperture
portal.
Science Bring Your Daughter to Work
To
Day
obtain
is
a
the
correct
perfect time to have her
and efficient
tested.
rendering performance, we render only what is visible to the limited field of view of the opposite portal, and exclude objects which lie between the virtual camera and the plane of the opposite portal.
The combination of portal-destroying fields, which we call fizzlers, and the elevators, serve a dual purpose. They provide a clearly identifiable endpoint for each test chamber, while also addressing the more practical problem of how to keep players from portaling across level loads. We eventually integrated the fizzlers into several of our puzzle designs.
Yeah, tell that to the speedrunners. Speedrunning is something I've never really gotten into. Way back when Half-Life 2 first came out, I could get pretty close to the current record back then, inside of about half an hour. But not today.
Welcome to Test Chamber 4. You're doing quite well.
For training purposes, there's generally just one correct solution to these early puzzles. The original version of this room didn't have the glass barrier. Playtesters would often stand on the button to open the door and then shoot a blue portal through the opening, bypassing the box entirely. Since this puzzle was meant to illustrate the relationship between boxes and buttons, that solution, while clever, was a failure. So we added the glass barrier to prevent it. Later in the game, however, the puzzles become more open-ended.
Integrating portals with Source Engine's physics system was a complex process that required several iterations to achieve the right balance of performance and correctness. Because portals can be placed virtually anywhere in the game's environment, the physics system had to be modified to allow dynamic changes to its representation of colliding geometry, such as the walls and floor around this box, and any objects which may lie on the opposite side of the portal. Initial implementations of this dynamic collision generation system could take up to 1/2 of 1 second, or 500 milliseconds, to compute the correct collision. This may not sound like a long time in everyday life, but this pause during the portal creation was quite noticeable in the context of a game. Ultimately, we designed a system that creates temporary hybrid physics environments in bubbles around the portals, using less accurate collision than that produced by Source's standard collision generation, but was accurate enough in practice and reduced the time to create dynamic collision representation from 500 milliseconds to just 10 milliseconds, which is an imperceptible pause during portal creation.
Once again, excellent work. As part of our required test protocol, we will not monitor the next test chamber. You will be entirely on your own. Good luck.
For training purposes, there's generally just one correct solution to these early puzzles. The original version of this
We
room
already
didn't
heard
have-
that one. I wonder if that physics bubble around the portals is how speedrunners are able to jump out of the map, because it doesn't detect your character as accurately against the walls. Probably is. I'm going to have
To
to...
ensure the safe performance of all authorized activities, do not destroy vital testing apparatus.
I'm going to have to find a editing program for these videos as I get into some more complex games. Well, I don't think live streaming is always going to be the best option.
Early versions of Portal featured more detailed, cluttered environments, much like Half-Life 2. We quickly realized that unnecessary objects scattered all over the place distracted players to the point where it actually interfered with the Portal training process. So we simplified
As
the art
part
style
of a
to favor
required
clean,
test
focused test
protocol,
chambers.
our previous statement
modular approach we
suggesting that
settled
we
on
would not
makes it
monitor
look
this
plausible that the
chamber
chambers
was
can
an
reform
outright
dynamically on these
fabrication.
pistons.
Good job. As part of a required test protocol, we will stop enhancing the truth in 3, 2,
I've got to stop doing things while the commentary is being played, triggering too many overlaps in audio.
While safety is one of many Enrichment Center goals, the Aperture Science high-energy pellet seen to the left of the chamber can and has caused permanent unbelievable. You,
Subject name here.
must be the pride of.
Subject hometown here.
To make puzzles deeper than just teleporting to the exit, we had to include surfaces that won't hold a portal, which are formally introduced here. We experimented with several surface designs before we settled on this one, whose visual noise and reflectivity make it easy to identify at a distance.
It says 1 of 2 for commentary, but I don't see another commentary note in here. Wonder if it got deleted.
Warning devices are required on all mobile equipment. However, alarms and flashing hazard lights have been found to edge. Good. Now use the Aperture Science unstationary scaffold to reach the chamber lock.
Little slow.
Originally, these scaffolds ran on electrified tracks, but crafty playtesters would hop along the rails to the exit, bypassing the puzzle entirely. We tried to solve this by killing players as soon as they touched the rails. That solution ended up being too much of an overcorrection, as even skilled playtesters were getting frustrated by these one-hit kills in the more complex puzzles later in the game. Making the scaffolds run along immaterial beams of light solved both problems.
This game was so awesome when it came out. I remember the trailers for it, and just seeing the playtesters or developers or whoever made the trailer just fly through all these portals. Like, what is going
Please
on?
note that we have added a consequence for failure. Any contact with the chamber floor will result in an unsatisfactory mark on your official testing record, followed by death. Good luck.
Even though layering player training was a design goal from the start, we still ended up introducing some concepts too quickly. For instance, this used to be the first energy ball redirection puzzle. Playtesting revealed that this puzzle introduced too many new concepts at once, which ended up frustrating a lot of playtesters. In response, we inserted 2 test chambers before this one, to make the energy ball redirection training more gradual.
We previously talked about how we handle static portal collision, but collision with moving objects on the other side of a portal is a completely different and equally hard problem. Walking onto this scaffold was a very iffy proposition for the first few months of development. We solved the problem of colliding with these dynamic objects by cloning the objects from one portal to the other and strictly controlling what objects are allowed to collide with each other and how they're allowed to collide.
Very impressive. Please note that any appearance of danger is merely a device to enhance your testing experience.
Good old GLaDOS. You know, she's an opera singer. The voice
The
actress.
Enrichment Center regrets to inform you that this next test is impossible. Make no attempt to solve it.
Because our test chamber environments were simplified for training purposes, we created visual hotspots within the room.
For the first few months of development, we rendered the views through portals to 2 off-screen textures. This approach was easy to implement and was compatible with a wide range of graphics hardware. Unfortunately, this method was incompatible with
Enrichment
anti-aliasing
Center
and consumed a large amount of
apologizes
video
for
memory
this
in order to
clearly
handle
broken
recursive views
test
through several
chamber.
portals. Because of these disadvantages, we switched to a system which renders portal views recursively into the frame buffer with the aid of the stencil buffer to isolate pixels corresponding to a given portal. This is a more effective scheme because it is compatible with anti-aliasing and does not consume any
Once
additional
again,
video memory for
the
off-screen
Enrichment
textures.
Center offers it fantastic. You remain resolute and resourceful in an atmosphere of extreme pessimism.
Is there a button to activate this thing?
Because our test chamber environments were simplified for training purposes, we created visual hotspots within the rooms to guide players' attention.
Or did I turn around? I turned
Design
around.
is essentially a
My bad. Trying to find all the commentary nodes. Sometimes it's harder going slow than it is going fast. Lose track of what you're doing. Yeah, the singer, or she is a singer, the woman that does GLaDOS. They needed someone that could sing for the I'm Alive song.
Hello again. To reiterate, previous one. Momentum.
Portal momentum ended up being the hardest concept to convey. For this series of puzzles, which went through more design iterations than virtually any other part of the game, we introduced the idea of redirecting your momentum using portals, slowly, step by step. We even have the AI voice pretty explicitly explain the elements of the puzzle, something we avoided throughout most of the rest of the game.
Using gravity to fall into one portal so that you come rocketing out the other portal, a skill we call flinging, was another difficult concept to train. We designed a specific visual cue, a pushed-out concrete block with checkerboard tile above a pit, to indicate to players that it's time to use the fling maneuver. Repeated several times, this cue helps players associate pushed-out concrete slabs with flinging, in much the same way that players learn to associate cubes with buttons.
Spectacular. You appear to understand how a portal affects forward momentum, or to be more precise, how it does not.
Originally, these exit portal surfaces were static geometry in the final position, but playtesters stubbornly
Momentum,
refused to
a
look up to
function
find
of
them.
mass and velocity,
This
is
is another
conserved
example of
between
a classic
portals.
game design
In
problem
layman's
coaxing
terms,
players to
speedy
look up.
things in,
By
speedy
putting the
things
portals
out.
on moving pistons, we were able to start them in a position that players were more likely to see.
Alright. I unfortunately completely cut over that audio track there. I didn't think the commentary would slow me down quite this much. But it's alright, it's a short game. I think next I'm going to do another Star Trek game. The older ones are pretty short and small, so...
The Enrichment Center promises to always provide a safe testing environment. In dangerous testing environments, the Enrichment Center promises to always provide useful advice. For instance, the floor here will kill you. Try to avoid it.
We found that rather than looking into portals to see where it went, playtesters would often leap blindly to their doom. In response to this observation, the moral of this puzzle is, look before you leap. The safe orange portal is out of the player's view from this balcony. That forces them to peer through a portal to see it, which trains players in their remote viewing capabilities of portals.
Originally, a weighted button was used to open the far door. but playtesters so strongly associated boxes with buttons that they'd get stuck searching hopelessly for a box. We changed the big button to a pedestal-mounted push button, thus removing the box association. But playtesters still had trouble realising they needed to shoot a portal through the door. Adding a ticking timer sound when the door was open cued players that the puzzle expected them to act during that time, which solved the problem.
Get that portal out of there until I'm ready for it. But, as I was saying, I need to find an editing software for these videos so I can record and then upload, as once I get to the point of more challenging games, ones that I'm probably going to die at a few times, live streaming direct probably isn't going to be the best option.
The device has been modified so that it can now manufacture 2 linked portals at once. As part of an optional test protocol, we are pleased to present an amusing fact. The device is now more valuable than the organs and combined incomes of everyone in
Subject hometown here.
This room is designed to build anticipation for the big moment when players finally get the fully powered portal gun. The puzzle path brings you in a circle around the device, so that it's virtually always in sight, right up until you grab it.
Get ready to fling yourself. Fling into space.
Player training doesn't always stick, especially after the introduction of a big new concept. For instance, after they had acquired the fully powered portal device, playtesters often forgot about the fling maneuver. Since it's such an important skill, this puzzle is designed to reintroduce the idea of flinging.
Ah. The flinging maneuver isn't anywhere near as prominent in this game as it was displayed to be in the trailers.
Now that you are in control of both portals, this next test could take a very, very long time. If you become lightheaded from thirst, feel free to pass out. An intubation associate will be dispatched to revive you with peptic salve and adrenaline.
When we moved from largely placeholder art to our final visual design, this was the first level to get a facelift. We chose this map because it had many of our gameplay elements integrated into a relatively small space. The test chamber art direction was designed to make everything appear purposefully placed. The simple design helps focus players on the puzzles. It also provides a nice contrast to the later, much less sterile behind-the-scenes environments, which contributes to a clear sense of progression.
This is the first map in which we experimented with solving the puzzle with as few portal placements as possible. We tried to fit that concept into the story mode, but were never quite able to sell it. Instead of abandoning the idea altogether, we added the concept to a series of post-game challenge maps.
The challenge maps weren't there originally, were they? They must have added those later.
As part of a previously mentioned required test protocol, we can no longer lie to you. When the testing is over, you will be missed.
A problem we came across with virtually any puzzle involving boxes and doors was that the players could portal the boxes to the other side of the door, thereby trapping themselves in a room with buttons but no boxes. We set up special triggers to detect and handle these cases, and then added the box delivery tubes to ensure players could always be supplied with the required tools.
Yeah, that would be frustrating if you accidentally sent something in the wrong spot and then you're just done needing to restart. But back in 07, I don't remember there being additional test chambers. I know there is in Portal 2.
All subjects intending to handle high-energy gamma-leaking portal technology must be informed that they may be informed of applicable regulatory compliance issues. No further compliance information is required or will be provided, and you are an excellent test subject.
I love the little Half-Life 2 elements in here.
A few playtesters put a portal on the floor here, and used the rising stair pit to skip the rest of the puzzle. We'll usually rework a level if playtesters discover a way to bypass chunks of the puzzle too easily. But in this and a few other cases where skipping ahead arguably takes more skill than solving the puzzle properly, we let the ninja solution stand.
This is a great spot to appreciate the recursive nature of portals. If you place a portal on each side of this hallway, you'll notice the portals seem to go on forever, similar to the effect you get in a Hall of Mirrors. In actuality, we support a maximum of 9 recursive portal views down any chain of portals. We achieve the impression of infinite recursion by copying part of the previously rendered frame onto the final portal in the recursive chain. It's not perfect, but it's inexpensive and effective.
We designed this room to draw the player's eyes to the box. The light from the observation room casts horizontal shadows that point at the box, which is directly lit by a warm light from the ceiling. This warm light helps the box stand out against the predominantly cool test chamber lighting. The varying size squares of the off-limits surface also help direct the player's attention upward.
I think I've decided to do this playthrough 100%, not using, I don't know, too many cheats. Not that there's a cheat. Not using too many workarounds to kind of, access all of the game. Doubly true as it's a pretty short game anyway, so. Alright, I need that to be over there, so I need to put a... It should still be bouncing. Nope. That sucks. Okay. Oh my god, it's been too long since I've played this. That was a really bad mistake. That one being the...
Very Very good. A complimentary victory lift has been activated in the main chamber.
I think the last time I played a Portal was 2011.
The Enrichment Center is committed to the well-being of all participants. Cake and brief counseling will be available at the conclusion of the test. Thank you for helping us help you help us all.
This particular section went through several iterations because it's the first place where players are required to perform possibly the trickiest portal maneuver, the double fling. Originally, the room also featured an energy ball redirection puzzle. Combined with a new double fling skill, however, it proved to be too much for most playtesters. Overwhelmed players tend to not digest new information, so we simplified the puzzle to require only the double fling. To nudge players in the right direction, we also included visual hints, such as the previously introduced single fling theme, the pushed-out concrete slab with a checkerboard landing zone.
This puzzle requires players to redirect an energy ball through multiple portal placements. The multiple steps cause many early playtesters to panic and accidentally redirect a ball right into themselves, with deadly results. We redesigned the test chamber so that portals can only be placed in the top half of the room, which solved the problem by generally leaving players out of the ball's reach.
For your own safety, do not destroy vital testing apparatus.
So I need a portal up there and out here. How do I do that? Okay. I'm gonna wait for this to blow up. Thought it was further over that way, that's my bad. What did it bounce off of? There we go.
We noticed through our playtest that many of our players weren't aware of the fact that you could place portals while falling. Since placing portals as you are falling is essential to accomplishing flings and many other portal tricks, we implemented this puzzle so that the only way to solve it was to use the mid-air placement tactic. It took numerous iterations and lots of tuning before this consistently played well.
There we go.
Perhaps the most important purpose of this final test chamber is to cement the double fling maneuver training. For previous flings, we employed a visual cue, a pushed out section of a wall. In preparation for the more freeform behind the scenes levels, however, we take the training wheels off. To proceed, players must realize they can double fling almost anywhere they want to, with or without hints.
Okay.
In this puzzle, we wanted players to realize that using portals, they can travel long distances in a short step. Originally, we had stairs from the ground level to the upper rooms. Many playtesters, however, were able to run from one room to the other quickly enough to consider it a solution, without ever thinking to use the even easier portal method. By changing the stairs to very slow-moving lifts, we were able to level the travel time for all player experience levels, thus making the intended solution more clear.
How did that get over there? Okay.
Did you know you can donate one or all of your vital organs to the Aperture Science Self-Esteem Fund for Girls? It's true.
There's a radio in there. Just an awesome game design concept. And to think that it was a student
Due
project.
to mandatory scheduled maintenance, the appropriate chamber for this testing sequence is currently unavailable. It has been replaced with a live fire course designed for military androids. The Enrichment Center apologizes for the inconvenience and wishes you the best of luck. Certain objects may be vital to your success. Do not destroy testing apparatus. Who's there?
For Portal, we wanted to create a turret that was different from the traditional Half-Life 2 turrets. The Half-Life 2 turrets are nothing more than mindless mounted guns. In Portal, we wanted the turrets to have personality, to be characters. The first step was a redesign of the look. Once we had the look of the new turrets, they seemed less like menacing machine guns and more like cute robots. And robots can never really be cute until they are talking robots. So the next step was creating the vocal characteristics of the turrets. Working with Ellen McLean, we settled on an innocent-sounding voice with dialogue to match. This juxtaposition of killing machine and innocent, non-aggressive personality ends up making the Portal turret a memorable character.
Aww.
Even though we didn't want Portal to be too combat-heavy, we wanted to add at least a light combat mechanic. After a few less than successful attempts to actually realize this light combat concept, we settled on turrets as a good compromise. The turrets can be defeated with tricky portal maneuvers, but they're also susceptible to a more straightforward berserker approach.
Berserkers. There you go.
Searching. There you are.
Even though Portal tells a simple story, we created a lot of backstory. For Aperture Science, for its employees, for its rivalry with the hated Black Mesa, and for where all of this fits into the cosmology of Half-Life. This first Portal game doesn't reveal all of it, but we crammed a lot of little details into the environments. This area, for instance, called the Ratman Den, hints that there may be other people trapped in the facility.
So they must have made the commentary after Portal 2 came out. Kinda cool. Little water jug. Really old milk. Was he using a... Can't zoom in. Was he using a computer to cook water? What's he got? A Thunderbird CPU in there? Those guys ran pretty hot. There were some gateways too, with the NVIDIA chipset back in like 2008. Oh, those things just terrible. It's insanely hot running. And they had bad thermal paste on them too.
Shutting down activated.
Well, tried to put a portal under him, but it just didn't work. Good enough. Need a cube.
There you go. Are you still up? Well done, Android. The Enrichment Center once again reminds you that Android Hell is a real place where you will be sent at the first sign of defiance.
The writing staff really outdid themselves with this game.
The vital apparatus vent will deliver a weighted companion cube in 3, 2, 1. This weighted companion cube will accompany you through the test chamber. Please take care of it.
We designed this hall so that players had to use a box as a shield, but many playtesters read it as an avoid the energy ball timing puzzle and simply left the box behind. We solved this in large part by having the AI talk about the box. A lot. Once the dialogue went in, playtesters...
The symptoms most commonly produced by Enrichment Center testing are superstition, perceiving inanimate objects as alive, and hallucinations. The Enrichment Center reminds you that the weighted companion cube will never threaten to stab you and, in fact, cannot speak.
So they solved it by making GLaDOS talk about the cube a lot. There we go.
Vital testing apparatus destroyed.
Oh. There can be only one? I thought all three of these came up. Guess not. Just gotta get the angle of the dangle correct there.
The Enrichment Center reminds you that the weighted companion cube cannot speak. In the event that the weighted companion cube does speak, The Enrichment Center urges you to disregard its advice.
Is still launching a ball? No. I can't remember if I need my cube for this next part. That's a yes.
You did it. The weighted companion cube certainly brought you good luck. However, it cannot accompany you for the rest of the test and, unfortunately, must be euthanized. Please escort your companion cube to the Aperture Science Emergency Intelligence Incinerator.
The awful end of the companion cube serves a dual purpose. It adds a lot more sinister character to our already pretty sinister AI, while simultaneously training the player to use the incinerator, a key component of the final level. The training has a nice dramatic payoff.
Rest assured that an independent panel of ethicists has absolved the Enrichment Center, Aperture Science employees, and all test subjects of any moral responsibility for the companion cube euthanizing process.
I do wish that they had modified... I do wish that they had modified the AI voice in here, so when you're on director mode, trying to listen to this stuff, it doesn't just, you know, keep talking.
It has been a faithful companion. Your companion cube cannot accompany you through the red. You euthanized your faithful companion cube more quickly than any test subject on record. Congratulations. The experiment is nearing its conclusion. The Enrichment Center is required to remind you that you will be baked, and then there will be cake.
Creating the AI voice was a multi-step process. First, we ran every line of dialogue through an automatic text-to-speech program. In the studio, we cued the actress who plays Glados, Ellen McLean, with the computer-generated sound file. She'd mimic it, and then over the course of several takes, adjust her performance to clean up any words that were unintelligible in the computer version. For instance, here's a line as Ellen delivered it.
Perfect. Please move quickly to the chamber lock, as the effects of prolonged exposure to the button are not part of this test.
Once the recording was done, we processed all of the dialogue to give it an extra computery edge. Here's that same line as it appears in the game, with the pitch constrained, pitch modulation suppressed, and the formant moved up.
Perfect. Please move quickly to the chamber lock, as the effects of prolonged exposure to the button are not part of this test.
I thought I could just run into the wall and it would go.
The experiment is nearing its
Guess not.
conclusion. The Enrichment Center is required to remind you that you will be baked, and then there will be cake.
Okay.
As an actor, you come in, you do what you're told, you want to make your money, and sometimes you get good direction, and sometimes you don't get good direction. But it doesn't matter, and you certainly don't tell the production team any of this. But you come in, and they'll give you a lame line reading, and you're supposed to find some emotional value in that. But this is not what this team did. They would come in, for example, explosively indignant. That's a wonderful direction for an actor. So, I must say that the production team won me over, because so often I get bogus direction, but this time I was actually directed and had fun at all the sessions.
That's awesome. Explosively indignant. Oh, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out. Let's go back the other way. There we go. Cannot remember. Where do I need to get to? Button up there. Got it. Aha. No, it won't go there. Knock some... Oh. What was that? Knock some turrets out. There we go. Now I need to be up there. Okay.
Vital testing apparatus destroyed.
That doesn't open this door. What opens that door? Oh, come on. I fucked that up. I think after this mission, I'm going to break this, or this level, I'm going to break this stream up into a two-parter. Do the second half of the game. Hey, zoom! Then I'm going to activate this one in here just to make sure that we're full out on it. Well, that sucks. I used the wrong portal. Okay. Brilliant. I do recall being better at this game. Of course, that was back when I played video games all the time. These streams I've put out here are the first time I've played video games in probably about 3 or 4 years. Just haven't had time. I didn't have a computer to play them on for quite a while either. I just, not too long ago, built a gaming computer. Maybe 5 months ago. It was not easy finding parts for it, I'll tell you that. Well, here. Can't believe I missed that.
Well done. Be advised that the next test requires exposure to uninsulated electrical parts that may be dangerous under certain conditions. For more information, please attend an Enrichment Center Electrical Safety Seminar.
Electrical safety. Gotta wrangle those angry pixies. Get to talk about Faraday, Kirchhoff.
Welcome to the final test. When you are done, you will drop the device in the Equipment Recovery Annex. Enrichment Center regulations require both hands to be empty before any cake.
Warning kick. Alright, where am I sending this? There.
We use these moving platforms to add time pressure to puzzles. A sequence of simple decisions feels much more climactic under time pressure, in contrast to most puzzles in Portal, which can be solved at the player's leisure. Puzzles that aren't time-bound can be more complex, but at the expense of being less dramatic.
riding the beam of light.
Sometimes little details make a huge difference. For instance, we had to add the left side to this wall to give players a visual representation of how thick it is. Without it, playtesters frequently thought that the hall had just gotten impossibly narrower.
Congratulations. The test is now over. All Aperture technologies remain safely operational up to 4,000 degrees Kelvin. Rest assured that there is absolutely no chance of a dangerous equipment malfunction prior to your victory incandescence. Thank you for participating in this Aperture Science computer-aided enrichment activity. Goodbye.
Not gonna activate that yet. I don't want dialogue to interrupt it. And I might die here anyway, so you know.
What are you doing? Stop it. We are pleased that you made it through the final challenge where we pretended we were going to murder you. We are very, very happy for your success. We are throwing a party in honor of your tremendous success. Place the device on the ground, then lie on your stomach with your arms at your sides. A party associate will arrive shortly to collect you for your party. Make no further attempt to leave the testing area. Assume the party escort submission position or you will miss the party.
Before the player escapes the fire pit, the AI dialogue is all delivered in a computerized monotone. After the escape, however, Glados gets progressively more expressive until, by the end, she's cycling through a whole mess of emotions. The role required an actor capable of mimicking the computer-generated voice while still infusing it with some real character. Since we planned to end the game with a song, she also needed to have a good singing voice. The woman we ended up casting, Ellen McLean, is a great mimic, a terrific actor, and a classically trained operatic soprano, so that worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say it did. Oh, we gotta go up there. Well, there's a setting in here that makes you divert into a portal. That's what is screwing me up with those things. I'm not expecting that. Oh, does this door open? It does.
In these new areas, we weren't using the surfaces the player is familiar with. The rules for which new surfaces portals can be placed on, and which surfaces are off-limits, needed to be taught. So, we created this area both to show the player they've escaped into the guts of the facility, and to retrain them in which surfaces are valid for portal placement.
Oh, yeah. Elite skills there.
I went to portals, I googled portal in game, and I went to the trailer, and I just loved it. I loved hearing my voice. And as I told the production team, I have never played a computer game in my life, but I want to play this one.
She sounds absolutely amazing. Where am I going here? Well, companion cube. We get to see their journey.
Okay, the test is over now. You win. Go back to the recovery annex for your cake. It was a fun test, and we're all impressed at how much you won. The test is over. Come back.
After players escape, we let them solve an old chamber in a new way. This reintroduction of a familiar space, which can now be solved in an incorrect way, helps convey the sense that players are cheating the system while forging their own path through the facility.
Uh-oh, somebody cut the cake. I told them to wait for you, but they cut it. Still some left if you hurry.
Okay. Um. I did not. I did not split the stream. I meant to. Well, at least I didn't die. Okay. I need to get over there. And I cannot. Maybe I could land on top of that guy. But I guess not.
One bizarre fact of game design is that without some serious prompting, players will rarely look up. In this case, the prompt is a ladder. Most players will investigate where the ladder goes, which is up. The ladder actually falls apart as soon as it's touched, but by then it served its purpose.
Alright, I am going to stop the stream here, and then start a new one, so that it's not quite as long. So I'll be back in a minute.